Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Transformative Education, Personalizing Learning for AI. Um, Empowering education is the theme of this podcast. But this particular episode, we are going to chat a little bit about transformative education and personalizing learning for all. My name is Selena Burke, and I am your host. And today we are going to explore the concept of personalized learning and why it is essential for creating an immersive and equitable learning space. Um, so for people who are new to this podcast, I am in the process of pursuing a PhD, and my research is at the intersection of education, design, and technology. And I am researching the question of how to create an equitable and immersive learning space that promotes career trajectories. And personalized learning is one of those things that I'm constantly talking about, and I think is an asset to this to our learning process. If you've listened to the episode on one size fit all model approaches and my objection to it, you will understand that I am under the belief, and I'm for sure many others are, that all children are not alike. They do not think alike, nor do they learn alike. They do not receive information alike. So we understand and know that, but due to the structures of our educational institutions, we take this model of putting learners in a environment where the student teacher ratio for the most part is large. I mean, 1 to 15 is large. 1 to 20, 1 to 25. Oh my God. There are some classrooms where there's 1 to 30, and that's absurd. And so when you have that many children or learners in an environment and you're trying to give them information, it becomes convenient to use one method, especially if teachers don't have the resources or the assistance. And again, my empathy to my teachers who are um, stuck in these environments, which are restrictive. And not only are teachers in these restrictive environments, but they lack the resources that they need, the assistance. Some teachers may be lucky to have a teacher assistance. A lot of them are not. As you go into more marginalized communities, that is not the case unless those classrooms are classified as special. And what is special, right? All our children should be classified as special. All our children should have an IEP plan because all our children are different. However, we continue to use a method of standardization that was based on industrial time and manufacturing. We are not manufacturing products. And so our children should not be treated as this assembly line of you're this age and you go into this group and then you go here. I mean, absurd, right? We know this, but how do we change it? How do we implement policy to change it? And maybe that should be one of my episodes. But how, and so again, empathy goes out to these teachers who are in these restrictive environments and they are given the responsibility to provide our child with knowledge that is going to make them critical thinkers, innovators, artists, activists, but they're not provided with different ways of obtaining that information. And if they don't get that information, then what? If you take a test and you take these standardized tests and you say that my child or this learner is here at this particular rate, particular grade level, or maybe they're above or below, and even for the ones that above, right? And so my child is above grade level. What do you do with that? Like when I was growing up, I was in a gifted program. Um, how often do that exist in regular classrooms unless you are a magnet school or special enrollment? And why is this not in all schools? We need to question that. Parents, you need to question that. Teachers, at the risk of not losing your jobs, we need to question that. And so let's just dive into why I think personalized learning is important. I think that personalized learning is all about tailoring the learning experience to the individual's needs, their interests, and the abilities of each student. It is, or we need to take a paradigm shift from this one size fit all model approach and hold the key to unlocking the full potential of our learners. I'm going to take this opportunity to um, talk about Adventures of Kevin and Noah, written by Kevin D. Henderson, at the time 11 years old. Uh, I think he may become an author, writer or some sort. I'm homeschooling him, and part of me understanding personalized learning and using Kevin is almost my prototype, is that I have this ability to, you know, find out if this method of personalized learning of understand. And so let me just pause. I have this advantage because I am homeschooling, and I know that every parent can't homeschool their child. I know that teachers don't always have the capacity to understand the interests and needs of every kid, especially in large classroom environments. And so for that, I'm disheartened. I'm doing this research so that change can come about in these learning environments. But we need to understand what type of learner, one that these children, our children are. What are their interests? And what is the thing that they're good at? Because I don't think all kids are good at everything. I'm for sure if people are starting to type in the comment section, but I don't. That's my belief. I think that each child has their individual talent, ability. Not to say that they can't learn another, but there is this natural thing about um, what they've what they're good at, right? So I have always been good at technology. It just came natural. Like I learned how to program in COBOL in high school. It came natural. I've always taken advantage of it because it comes natural and that's my thing. But I can look at my kids and, and tell both what you're good at based on me being around them and seeing them in different environments and different situations and say, that's your thing. And I think as people, and we just don't always accept what we're good at because it's usually that thing that we're kind of like just good at, and we just that's just what I do. And you don't understand like that's a thing that you can um, use to either help people or define who you are, and not necessarily this from a capitalist standpoint. I always tell my children that if you find the thing that you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. I can't remember where I heard that quote. Someone said it, and I love it, and it's the truth. That when you do the thing that you love to do, and yes, we are in a world where we need to have money in order to survive and live, a certain lifestyle and yada yada yada. But finding that thing you want to, at least if you're going to make money, be happy at what you do. And so what I am proposing is that we need to figure what that is and how do we do that. And I'm hoping that I can, in this PhD journey, in me working with parents and teachers and students or learners, that we can kind of figure out how do we do that. We have technology. How can we use technology? How can we leverage technology to create personalized learning trajectories for our children? Like how do I identify that, in my instance, that my son is a good writer, right? It was easy because I'm in the house with him and he writes and I can watch and see, and he's my only focus, right? But when there's a classroom of learners, how can a teacher tell, and there's 25 kids, that each individual child, this is the type of learner that they are, and now say the information that I am going to share with them. um, you see how I said share, right? We're not just disseminating and throwing information. We're actually sharing, and having the child be part of that learning process and interact, and there's a conversation, right? And so in sharing this information to make them, or to enhance or build upon whatever that skill set is, right? I say author, he could be a lawyer and write exceptionally well brief, or Supreme Court justice. Nah, I didn't say that. But that's just in the world that we live in now, right? And so I won't comment on that. But I don't, he's a good writer. What does that mean? And I'm not saying just because he's a good writer and he wrote a book, because some people may read this book and say, oh, this is terrible. He's 11, right? And they may not like it, or, and so this is not author, material. I'm not for sure, right? I'm just, I'm having a dialogue with you guys, right? And so um it may not be the case, but what I have done is I've given him confidence, um, that he can do it, right? You're an author at 11, oh, he's 12 now. You're selling books, right? He's um, eager to write the second book, and he's working on that right now. And he's just at it. I'm not allowed to read it because I made a comment about what I thought it was about to someone, and now he told me that I was sharing trade secrets. That's what he told his mother. And so this is what happens when you give children autonomy. So be careful, be that's a be aware. And so now he has been given this responsibility of taking on this next project, and he is doing it without mom's involvement until it's time for me to edit, because he doesn't want me to, you're excited, right? And you start talking about it. So I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. So basically what we're saying, what I believe is that personalized learning is a great asset to the learning process. And basically, what it's about is that it tailors education to the learners, their abilities, their needs, their interests. And so, how do we go about um, this paradigm shift from one size fit all model approaches to personalized learning, and um, how do we unlock this potential of our learners? So, why is personalized learning so important, especially in the context of, for me, creating an immersive and an equitable learning environment? Why is this? What role does it play? Well, for starters, it recognizes that every student is unique. And that is a common thing that you'll hear me say over and over and over and over. And you're like, okay, why you keep saying that? It's because we need to understand that each student is unique. They're different. And so we have to um, tailor their learning path toward that. Each learner have their own learning pace, their own learning preference, their own learning strengths. And so we should have, individualized educational plans for each kid. And I know teachers are like, or if there's a social worker that's listened to this podcast, she's like, do you know how much work? Yes. And maybe no. Can technology help? Can we create something? Can we use technology to help, but not um, perpetuate oppression or stereotypes in these spaces? Because that's the danger, the consequences of AI. It can be an advantage of helping our teachers and counselors and, school support system to create personalized learning trajectories, but we want to make sure that we're understanding the consequences of implementing AI. While it is a thing that I am advocating for, I understand the consequences and who is developing these AI platforms, and where did the data set come from, and how diverse are um, the data generators. Where's the data, where's the source, how diverse is the source? And so that's a whole nother episode. But so I know there's probably some anxiety when I say every child should have an IEP plan. But let's figure that out. If you're a counselor, leave a comment, and let's have a conversation. Let's a whole bunch of counselors. Let's get together and discuss this and see how we can do this. So, how do we create these spaces, and why is it important? By embracing personalized learning trajectories, what we can do is ensure that no student is left behind. Like we talk about that, especially in CPS, Chicago Public School System, that was a theme at some point. No student left behind. And I'm not an expert in that whole movement, but what I have gathered from that is you are what it should have been and what it actually is, maybe two different things. And because I'm 16 years old and or I'm 18 years old and I have been in this grade because I haven't scored on a standardized test the way I should be, we need to move you along because you are a certain age, right? And so that's just me summarizing that whole movement. But when I say, you know, we need to ensure that no student is left behind, um, I'm saying that we need to level the playing field and provide opportunities for all our learners so that they can excel. And listen, this is particularly vital for marginalized groups who may face additional barriers in addition to these educational settings, right? So this is really important. Personalized learning has the potential to foster a deep sense of engagement. And, you know, there's unique themes that you're going to hear me talk about. Um, I'm all about the autonomy, giving learners autonomy, equity and an immersion, bringing that into learning spaces. Learning happens everywhere. Students are unique, but as well, um, engagement. Engagement is a big thing. Why? Because if your learner is not engaged, then they are going to close off to the learning process. And so I believe that personalized learning can foster this sense of engagement. When students have a say in again, when students have a say in and how they learn, I believe that they become more active participants in their education. And so part of my research is participatory research, where you involve all the stakeholders, but not from the top, down. I want to look from down to up. And that even don't even sound right as I'm saying that. It's a stereotype. All learners, where I want, students and parents and teachers and administrations, all of us together. We need to be part of this process, but more importantly, we need to make sure that students have a say in what and how they learn, especially, if we want them to have autonomy over their learning. This ownership over their learning journey creates a genuine sense of immersion, because they're immersed into whatever it is that they're trying to the trajectory that they're trying to reach. This is, I am going to be an activist. What are the things that you need to learn and know to be, the best activist? But the question that I am tasked with is, how can we implement personalized learning effectively? And it really starts with understanding each student's strengths and weaknesses, as well as their interests and goals. And this can't just be done based off of standardized tests. There needs to be conversations. We really need to kind of understand, our learners. And then we can kind of build up. And so how do we take, assessments and surveys and profiles, and to kind of create these personalized learning objectives? But that is a task that I am finding to be a challenge, because I don't want to get it wrong. And that's why the collaboration of everyone is important. All the stakeholders is all hands on deck. But what I do believe is that technology, it can play a vital role. It is a significant asset in creating personalized learning. There are a lot of ed tech tools and platforms that can help tailor content and activities to the individual needs of students, and that's a start. However, it's crucial to, strike a balance, and not rely solely on technology, but use it, to be a resource and a toolkit for um, instruction, right? And that even if there is instruction for the teachers, instructions for the parents, whoever the person that is sharing the knowledge, providing them, this tool. Teachers play a pivotal role in personalized learners, or instructors, if you will. because, parents, when I say teachers, I don't want parents to say, well, that doesn't include me. I'm not a teacher. Yeah, you are. Um, but the person that's providing instruction, they become, they can be facilitators and mentors, guiding students on this unique learning journey. But this requires a shift in teacher practicing towards a more student centered approach versus the paradigm that we're currently using in our classroom environments. Personalized learning, it should be inclusive. It should. I mean, it should really take into account the diverse backgrounds and abilities of all students. All students. I don't care what challenges you have, financial, uh, mental, physical, all students. Equity should always be at the forefront, ensuring that no one is left out or at no one is left out or is at a disadvantage, right? Because if it is, what's the purpose? Let's just keep with the system that we currently have, right? Um, so as I conclude, basically, what I want to make sure that you understand is that personal learning is the key to creating an immersive and equitable learning environment. It recognizes the individuality of each student. It fosters engagement and it prepares learners for a lifetime of continuous growth, and that's what we want. We don't want to say that education happens at this age, and then you go to eighth grade, and then you go to high school, and then you may or may not go to college, and if you do, it goes to that point in college, and you're done, right? And so I wanna, one of another common thing is that learning is a lifetime journey. But if it's not this, if we don't have personalized learning trajectories, what you're gonna have is a bunch of people that are at 20, 30, 40, 50. I even talk to people at 60 years old who have the slightest idea what they want to do with their life, right? You're like, what? um and it is not, it's because somehow, and I don't want to use the word that we have failed them, but we didn't map or give them a map of this is what you're learning, and this is where you apply that to, right? And so here is another one of my anecdotal moments. We were doing measurements with my son for math, and he is a very critical thinker, and he's like, I'm not going to use this here, this is not important, what is the purpose? Okay. And so what we end up doing is, he loves waffles, so the next morning I get up and I was like, we're going to make waffles, and I give him this recipe, and what do you know? Huh, here's measurements. There's a certain amount of almond milk you need. I don't do dairy, so, well, I do dairy sometimes, but there's a certain amount of flour. There's a certain amount of sugar and so forth, right? And so he learned about measurements by cooking the thing that he liked, waffles, right? So now he understands the importance of measurements and why he needs to learn it. Can we throw a kitchen in a classroom and let's everybody bake, waffles, or I said bake or make waffles or bake a cake or cookies or whatever. I mean, that's like practice. That's practice, right? This is when we're taking learning and making it practice. But The point is that this is something that he likes to do, and now he's able to associate the information that's been given or shared to him to something that he actually does. And what happens is that when we don't do this here, we have adults who don't know what they want to do with themselves, have the slightest idea, or you have 18-year-olds who's about to go to college and don't know what are they going to major in, what are they going to do with them with their lives. And I have been having this conversation with my son, and at least I think until he's nah, I can't talk today. When he started to be about around 7 or 8, we started talking about, what are you gonna do with yourself? What are you gonna do with your life? And he's like, I'm a kid, and we need to know. Let's talk about that. Where do you see yourself at? And so these are the conversations that I have with him. But it's important because I don't want him to be 30 years old and don't know what he wants to do with himself and still trying to figure it out. And 30 years old, you have a wife and kids, and you're still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I'm not saying that just because we create personalized learning trajectories, that it is the all to be all answer to everything. But what I'm saying is that we want to give our learners an opportunity to associate the information that they're getting to practice, right? We want to say, I am teaching you this here, and you can use it for this here. And then when you realize that, I love to cook, and now understanding measurements is important, right? Or I like cutting hair. Why you teaching me science, right? Because you need to understand that the hair, like, should I dye the hair? What should I put on it? Can I mix chemicals in the hair? Um, right? DNA. Why is that person hair thinning? So that's science, right? And you're saying, I want to cut hair, right? Because no one has associated those things in science to things that you would do in your life, right? You're trying to figure out, why am I learning this particular thing? Where does it fit in my life? And because you can't associate it to something in real life in some practical form, you disregard it because you're disengaged, right? And now when we talk about measuring, my son is all, he all ears. He wants to hear, right? Because he cooks. Yes, he cooks at 12. He makes a mean stir fry. He has me faded, which annoys me when he cooks it and don't make me none. Yes, he cooks on the stove with fire at 12 because he's been taught. And these are the advantages of homeschooling, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a homeschool thing. My oldest one had been cooking since he was about 7 or 8, and he cooks a mean peach cobbler. And so I say this to say that, one, teaching happens at home. Parents are the first teacher. If you haven't listened to my podcast that I did on empowering education and parental engagement and learning, check that out, because it talks about the role of a parent. But more importantly, we need to be associating the information that we're giving our kids to something. And so personalized learning encompasses a lot. Not only does it say you're a good writer, and so maybe you can be an author, and how do we get you to that point? It also says that you are a kinesthetic learner. And so how do we disseminate information or share information to you in a way that you can receive it, right? What hands-on activities can we do? Or you a visual spatial learner, what visual aspects can we implement in these learning journeys to help you? So personalized learning, I'm not just saying is associating information to um, practice or careers. What I'm saying is that it encompasses that. It also encompasses that your learning preference is this. It also says that um, you are a high functioning autism child, and so in your learning process, you need to be rubbing on something, touching something. It also may mean that the sense in the rooms, may be overwhelming to you. How do we personalize your learning experiences so that the smells of someone's body soap doesn't bother you, or the smell in the hair doesn't bother you. The light, if you are a child that suffers with autism. And what I want to say is that children with high functioning autism is not given that same, um, not always given that same attention as children with low autism, because that you can actually visualize and you can see, oh yeah, you can, it's something that's seen, right? Whereas high functioning autism sometimes is um misdiagnosed as by teachers as being you're misbehaving, right? But if I had that personalized learning trajectory for that kid, and that kid has been um, analyzed in a way that we can say this is the path that they need, and these are the learning, this is their learning experience, their personalized learning experience. I know that light bothers them, so let's dim that light, right? Um, let's all that noise, right? It's too much. Yeah, it's a thing, right? Um, this shirt I have on has this tag, and I cannot stop bothering it. And I'm more concentrating with this tag than what you're saying, right? That's something that we need parents to be first teachers, right? And so these are things that a personalized learning experience provides for each child or each learner, so that they can we need to understand that they are unique and they need individual plans. And we don't need to say that because you are a high functioning autism kid that you need to be in a special classroom. Stop that. We need to say that every one of our kids is unique and special, and everyone should have an IEP plan. um, But again, let's acknowledge the limited resources in these classroom environments. Let's acknowledge that we have one counselor for how many kids? We have one teacher for how many kids? And so they can't do it by themselves. Can technology help? I hope so. I don't know. My PhD journey is going to hopefully reveal that to me, but I need your help. I need the help of all students who want to participate in some of my prototyping workshops. To let's experiment with some of this technology that I'm creating. I need the input of parents to say, hey, I know my kid, and so what information can I help? Now other parents can do the same thing because we found out that worked. I need teachers to say, hey, I'm in the classroom every day. I'm with these kids every day. I know the ins and outs. I know what works and what don't. I have input. I'm an asset, even though they're not paying me that way, and they should be. I'm a counselor. I can provide some resources, right? And so it's all hands on deck. I need your help. I'm asking for your help. I'm not here saying I know everything. I am saying that I want to make change. I want to implement change because I have been blessed to homeschool my kid and provide him a particular environment that's suitable for him. But he's one kid versus how many other kids that need that same specialized learning experience. And all parents can't do it, right? They can't. Some of them, you just can't do it, right? You want to, but you probably can't because you got to go to work, or you don't understand how to do it. There could be numerous factors of why you can't. But what I'm saying is that we need to collaborate and we need to partner with one another so that we can make this happen. Students, learners, this is for you. You can provide us with input. You can provide me with input so that I can help in this journey. And so, again, I am, do not proclaim to be the expert. I want to learn from the experts. And it is my philosophy that the expert is not the researcher. The expert is the learner, the teacher, the school administration, the parent. You guys are the experts, and I need your expertise so that I can take my part, right? I play a small part in this big scheme of things. So again, please comment below. please fill out, send me put a comment in there and just kind of let me know, your thoughts on how we can do this here. Again, I'm always offering to do workshops with all my stakeholders and learners. I don't care your age, you are a stakeholder. Teachers, parents, counselors, administrators, you all are stakeholders. And I am interested in partnering with each and every one of you so that we can make change. I cannot do it by myself. I wish I could, because I'm driven. And I'll do the all night. Age is catching up with me. So, sometimes that's a little hard. But yeah, I want to make change and I need your help in order to do that. And so hopefully through these podcasts, we are raising awareness that something needs to be done. We are also having that conversation, and there's a call to action. And the call to action right now is, how do we collaborate? How do we figure out a way to do, create personalized learning experiences for our kids? We need it, right? You can look at the disengagement of students or young teens. Um, we of You can look at the lack of, of certain, especially in marginalized communities, the lack of enrollment in college, the attainability in college. We can look at workforce environments and look at the diversity of what's going on. So something's going on, right? And we're talking about all people. We're not saying that um, this particular group of people is doing well, so we're okay. We're saying all people, right? We want to create equitable and inclusive learning experiences so that all people can attain these things. And so I need your help. And so, again, thank you for joining me on this podcast, Transformative Education. I hope this episode has shed light on the importance of personalized learning. Remember, by embracing this approach, we can together, collaboratively, unlock the full potential of every learner and create a brighter future for all our kids. Until next time, keep personalizing, keep engaging, and keep learning. Thank you.